Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Professor Thayer with you here today to talk to you about how to install Python with using idle on a Chromebook. This is intended for my equity and education group. And so this is for anybody who may be tasked with doing this installation if that's the operating system you're going to be working with. I'm going to apologize ahead of time for the quality of this video. I'm recording this off my phone in my living room because I am trying to figure out how to do all this too. And I have resources for you that are on multiple computers. And I also want to show you on the Chromebook. And I also may need to restart the Chromebook. So that's why we're going to do it like this. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So the resources that I found that were really the best in doing this are from Codecademy, but they didn't exactly have exactly what we need to do. So I've kind of put this together and figured out how to do this piecemeal by using 3 of their different pages. So I'll just show you these over here, and I can also provide you with better links for these things outside. But basically we want to do programming locally on a Chromebook. So the thing of interest in this article is mainly setting up your Linux environment, because basically how this is going to work is that the Chromebook can't actually run the official Python, but what you can do is you can turn on the Linux environment and then you run it through Linux, which does work. So this part of the tutorial is going to deal with setting up the Linux environment. Then the next thing we need to do is we need to actually get Python. So normally you just go to python.org and click on the downloads, but we're going to be installing this in the Linux system. So we need to know how to do this from the command line. So this page, the programming in Python on a Chromebook, has some useful things about how to work on the command line, and you can just check to see if Python 3 happens to be installed on your systems, and if that is the case, then you are in luck. But if not, then we're going to need to go through the steps of installing this. This actually shows a couple of different ways to do it, but I'll show you how I did it. And then the third step that we need to do is we need to use idle, which is the integrated development environment that we're using in our class to actually run Python. Is the one that comes from python.org. So Codecademy also has installing idle on a Chromebook, which we're also going to be having a look at. Now, I have installed it already on my Chromebook because I wanted to make sure that my plan actually worked, which it looks like actually it does, which is great news. But I thought that I would just show you what exactly I am using. So I don't really use my Chromebook that much. This is the one that I have. It's the Hewlett-Packard one, and we can see there's the Chromebook right here, and it looks like this. And here is the box that came with it. It's the Chromebook 14 from HP. So if you just want to check to see if you have the same model or whatnot. And then this is the back side of the box. This is what I had gotten. And so I'm hoping that this is going to be a good model for whatever Chromebooks the high school students may be working with, so that hopefully the things that I tell you here are going to pertain to that. So let's actually try to just get started here. So some of the other things we're going to try to do is just tell you about some of the challenges that I had as I was going along to try to get this to work for the first time. And so the first challenge that I had was that you have to be on the internet on the Chromebook in order for this to work. And I had not logged on to the particular network that I was at with that Chromebook before, so I had to get the internet up and working. So hopefully you know how to get devices on your particular internet. And so that was something that I needed to deal with. And so you're going to need to log in. And another thing you should keep in mind is that whoever's doing the install is probably going to need to have some kind of administrative privileges. And I wonder if students may not have privileges to install software on their Chromebooks. So if that's the case, that's probably also something you want to keep in mind, that there may need to be somebody with the authority to log on to the Chromebook that actually has the authority to do that. And I also had to update my Google account so that I could actually log on to the Chromebook because the credentials were not up to date. So I needed to deal with that as well. And then once I got through all of that, then I was ready to start. So that did take me some time, but I also hadn't used it since December probably, and it's currently now August. So yeah, 8 months, maybe something changed. So you may not have these problems, but just mentioning those are things you need to consider just in case. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to deal with getting the Linux environment on the Chromebook. So now just looking here at this page, you can maybe kind of read along with me. Programming locally on a Chromebook, it gives an intro, how to set up Linux on your Chromebook. So you can do Code Academy off-platform projects on your Chromebook. That means so you can run Python. If the Chromebook was launched before 2019, which this one may have been, you need to check to see if it's on the list. The great news was that mine was not exactly listed, but everything seemed to work anyway. So they had Chromebook 14 with some letters after it, and mine just says Chromebook 14, but it seemed to work. And I did successfully set up the Linux environment. Maybe many of your machines are after 2019, so that may not even be a problem for you. All right, so hopefully your Chromebooks are listed or they're after 2019 so that it's possible to do this trick of putting Linux on the machines. Now, if you don't have it, then that means probably you have to figure out how to get Linux onto the Chromebook, which might be a little bit more complicated, and that's not something that I have actually done. But I'm going to surmise that hopefully getting Unix or Linux of some kind onto the Chromebooks is something that's gonna be a possibility for everyone to do. So now we move on to the setting up your Linux environment section. This process will involve some settings and features you may not have used before. In order to run your many programs, you'll need to have a Linux set up. So you have access to a Linux terminal. So we will use the download languages, libraries, and IDE. So you're going to click on the gear icon in the taskbar and open the settings menu. And in fact, I didn't see it. And they say if you don't see it, click on your clock to find the gear to open the settings. So I had to do that. So here is my clock. And you click on this, and this is the gear right over here. You can see that it's the gear up here, and I was able to click on that to get into my settings. So from there, everything seemed to more or less follow the instructions. If you don't see it, click on the clock. Before we set up your Linux environment, let's make sure your Chromebook OS is up to date. So mine definitely was not. And so I spent quite some time getting the updates working. And mostly it wasn't that it was because it was difficult. It was just because I hadn't used it in a long time. So a lot of the updates had not been installed, and the updates do take some time, and we need to do some restarts. But anyways, we should probably see what those updates look like. So you may or may not have to do as much as I had to do on this. The bottom of your setting menu, you'll see about Chrome OS option. Okay, so yeah, mine was, I think, under, oh yes, it's right over here, about Chrome OS options. It's right here. So now I'm going to click on that. And then it says, this will open a section for check updates. And so my check updates showed up over here. Right now it says version 115.0.5790.131, official build 64-bit. So that probably is the most updated one, unless it's updated since last week, but I'm gonna just go ahead and check on, click on the check updates. So like I said, when I did this last week to get this started, then this was probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of updates and installing and restarting to get through this part. Okay, and so looking at the Code Academy page, their version looks like it's different, but of course this is going to be updating depending on the current date. So that will update over time. So it's now running the updates, and actually it looks like it may actually be getting another update. So it's telling me this it's running and updating your device. It says 23%. So we just have to wait for this thing to complete the updates. So while it's doing that, I'm just going to read ahead to see what else we need to do. Near your main settings, you'll see a little penguin. Okay, yeah. So Anyways, I might just tell you about this now because since I did do the install, actually I had put Linux on this probably about a year or so ago. So the next steps that we're gonna do, actually I can't show you because it's already turned on. So let's just go through what they're saying while we're waiting for the updates to finish down here. So it says, near the bottom of your main settings menu, you'll see a little penguin next to an option that says Linux Beta, and click on the Linux Beta item menu. So here it has this little penguin like this. And I think I had that on mine when I did this a year ago. So you click on that and you then see a section that says Linux, run Linux tools, editors, and IDEs on your Chromebook, and you just click the turn on. So I think this is going to actually just like download the Linux or activate it. I'm not sure if Chromebooks actually have Linux under the hood. They might. I should probably look that up. But anyways, you need to click the turn on button. That's the key ID here. And the next thing you get is a pop-up window appearing to ask if you want to install Linux. So here this suggests that we actually are going to install some software. The beta means that this is a test thing that so beta usually means you put it like that while it's in testing mode. So it's supposed to work, but there could be some bugs. So anyways, let's hope it's all working. A pop-up window will appear asking if you want to install Linux, and click the install button. So here it looks like set up beta on your Chromebook, and here it is, and you can click, it says install right here. So I'm just reading these things in case the quality of the video is not good enough for you to actually read stuff. So you click on the install button, and you wait while Linux installs on your computer, and it may take a few minutes. I don't have a strong recollection as to how long that took me, because again, I did that about a year ago, but it will take some time. Once it completes, a Linux terminal will open on your computer. So now, if you are installing it like this, that's very true, but if you're actually not doing that, then the terminal is not going to pop up. And so you need to know how to access the terminal on your Chromebook. All right, so coming back over to my Chromebook here, I see that the updating your device is still at the 23%, and it's still the little twirly thing is still going. All right, so that's updating. I think I can safely minimize this. Now, I have a terminal open here. This is what it is you're going to need to open. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. Yeah, I'm gonna say I want to leave this. So you need to go and open your apps, and sorry if you're an expert at this, I am not. So this button over here, which is where the Windows Start button is, it's called the launcher, will show you the apps that you have, and then you can see that we have the terminal here. Now this is showing up because this is supposedly where I left off. So I think if I scroll through these things that I would have terminal, and I do. It's this one right here, this little icon. And if you've ever used the DOS prompt or that kind of stuff on your Windows computer, or you've used the prompt on the Mac, then this is going to be pretty close to that. So you double click on that to launch your this, and let's see. And these are the settings. Now I just want to open the terminal. How do I do that? Okay, so there we go. I just clicked on, I think, the penguin thing. Let me do it again. So I went here to the launcher, and after you've used it, it'll show up continue where you left off, but I just went down to a terminal, and this does not actually launch the terminal. I clicked on, see it says Linux, and then here it says Penguin, and I clicked on Penguin, and now it says terminal at the top here, and the terminal is loading. And so this little cursor is spinning around, and hopefully it's going to pop up the terminal. It was a lot faster the last time. So let's see. Oh, there it is. So we know that we're ready because it has, okay, this is my username. So it says campfire@penguin, and then the : $$ This is my prompt. And so I can type commands here. All right, so now we're good to come back to the Code Academy thing and see what it says we need to do. So once you've installed, so that was about installing the Linux terminal. So if you've installed it, you may actually just be here anyways. But if you closed out or whatever, or you have Unix on there already, then you'll be doing this. So the next thing we need to do is we need to check for an update. So you use a sudo apt-get update. So you type sudo sudo, that stands for super user do, which means the person who has lots of permissions on the machine should be able to do these things. And then it's apt, sorry for typing so slow, get, get, space, and then we type update. Okay. So we type sudo apt-get update, and then we're gonna press enter. And so it's checking on this. And it tells me that it's done these things, hit, get IGN, hit, it fetch some stuff, and it says reading package lists and done. So I think that it is successfully updated, which is great. So now the next thing this talks about is how do I access the file from the terminal, which is not something we immediately need to worry about right now. So I think we're good to now switch over to the next section, which is getting Python. So now the next task we're going to do, part 2, is getting Python onto the Chromebook, because we can't just go to python.org and click on the download button as you do for other installs. So now this is what we're going to do. Setting up your Python coding environment, you're going to check your Python installation. So you could be in luck. You may have Python installed on your computer. So hopefully I do, because I did this last week, but let's, so you type Python 3. So you don't want to type just Python, you want to type Python 3 for Python version 3. And keep in mind that version 2 of any flavor is not okay for the class. We need to do Python 3. So it's Python 3 minus v like so, and then we press enter, and it says Python 3.9.2, which actually isn't the latest, but that's fine. If you get something here, then you're good to go and you can move on to the idle section. But if it didn't work, or you could see some other things. So we see that here they're saying you could get like dash Python 3 command not found, or you might get some other error. So if you've gotten some kind of error and you're sure you typed it correctly, then you should move on to, well, you need to install the new Python version. So if you're doing off platform, yes, so we need to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the wget command. So this is a Unix command, and since we're at the Penguin prompt, we are in Unix. So now all the Unix commands are going to work. So you need to move into the /user/src folder in your terminal. So we're going to do a CD. Basically, we're changing directories. That is, we're changing up the folders to be in the place where we need to be at. So we're going to type CD space /USR, which is the user directory, and then a /, and then SRC, which is the abbreviation for source. And then we're going to press enter. Okay, and now we see that it shows /USR/SRC to indicate to us that that's the directory that we have changed into. You can also do pwd, which is the command for print working directory, if you want to see where you're at. And if you do cd, you should go back home. So I just did cd, and now that goes away. So I should be back in my home directory, and I should be able to do pwd, and it should tell me I'm home. It says home Cape Bear, and now I can just use my up arrow, hopefully this works, yes, to go back to user.src. So that's how you move around in the directories, just in case you're not familiar with that. Okay, so now we're in the user source directory, and now we need to type the command sudo wget, and now we're going to need to get Python. So we're going to do sudo again for super user, because we're installing software, so this is going to require permissions, and then we give the command we want to do, which is wget, which is going to actually get our software. And then we have to put in the URL of the source of this, which we see is this thing over here. We're basically going to get a tar.gz, so this is going to download that file for us. So again, you probably want to just go to the actual Codecademy page. You can Google that, but I'm going through all of this anyways, just in case for whatever reason the page goes down. So please feel free to copy and paste. And sorry for you having to sit here and watch me type. Okay, www.python.org/ftp/python 3.8.8. That's probably version 3.8.8. I'm just going to follow along with exactly what they have here so that hopefully it's going to work fine. But probably you could also put in a different version. So 3.11 is the one that I'm using on my Windows machine, which I think is probably the latest or pretty close to it. But just, I think I will play it safe and do this 3.8.8.tgz tar gzipped file. All right, let us hope that I have not made any typos, and I'm going to just press enter here. And you see that we got this response here from the FTP site, and it's resolving the python.org. It's telling us about the IP addresses, HTTP request was sent, and it got a response, and this is length 23 M. I think it's something about the size of the stream or something. And it's saying that it's saving to Python 3.8.8.tgz. And here's the download of that. And you see this has happened in 7 seconds. And then it tells us that this file was saved, and I guess maybe the size in bits or something. 3.34 megabits per second is probably the transfer rate. And also we have the timestamp 2023-8/2 at 2049. That's 8:49 in military time and 30 seconds. So yeah, that's probably pretty accurate. Okay, so we got it. So what are we gonna do next? First you'll need to, okay, and then you download it. All right, so next, we're probably gonna have to unzip this. So I'm scrolling down. You'll need to move the downloaded file from downloads to your Linux files, and you'll need to move the file to user.src. You can do this with the move command. Okay, so yeah, so the file is in downloads, but that's the wrong place. That's the idea here. So now I'm gonna just come back. Let me see what we got here. So I'm gonna do sudo mv for move, and then I'm gonna hope this may, I may be able to use tab complete HTTP, and I just type tab, no, https://www. I'm not totally sure why we're not just going to the downloads, because that's where it should be. But anyways, this is what they're saying to do, and it worked. So I'm just gonna follow this. Python. Oh, I may be able to let me just use I'm gonna use my up arrow because I just did my up arrow because now I have that whole long HTTPS thing typed, but of course the beginning is wrong. So I need sudo move. And I told you this video is going to be far from beautiful and all edited. Okay, so now I'm gonna look up here and I'm saying, okay, so, okay, scroll over. So this looks like the same URL that I just used before. And if this would scroll, that would be great. Okay, so that's the source file that we just downloaded. So now I'm going to come back here, and then you need to provide the destination of it. Okay, so clicking doesn't work. You have to use your arrows. Okay, so RGZ to the destination. So /USR/SRC. Okay, there we go. Enter. Let's see if that works. Cannot stat that file. Okay, so it claims that I don't have any such file or directory. Okay, so I don't know why that didn't work. All right, I'm gonna put this on pause for a moment and see if I can figure that out. Okay, so I figured it out. Actually, it was really simple. You do not need to move the file if you have done the wget. So we're all good. So the way that we know this is I am in user.source and I simply did the ls command for list, and I see that my Python 3.8.8.targz is already here, and the MV is if you have downloaded it from the web page, which we did not do. So you could do that, and then you need to deal with moving it. But if you do it like this, you don't have to. And the next thing we need to do is we need to untar the file. So this means unpacking it. So we're going to do sudo tar. This is basically a decompression algorithm. And xzf. This is basically giving the how do you put it? The flags for the tar. In terms of like the level of verbosity that it's going to show you as it's unpacking, and a few other things which are escaping my memory at the moment. 3.8 point. Will this just tab complete? Yes. Okay. So I just type tab and it picks up the file. So it will complete that tile for me. So here we're going to untar the file. So we're going to press enter, and so it is untarring files. So if I do an ls again, I see that I now have two things. This is the original targz compressed file, and here's my Python 3.8.8 and a different color, which is the decompressed file. You now need to unzip the file and check if it worked. We'll use the tar command to unzip it. So wait, we just did that step. Okay, so now we'll check that work by checking the version. We'll need to use Python 3.8 instead of Python 3 since we downloaded Python 3.8. So let's try Python 3.8 space and -v. So we're just doing the version check again. So I'm gonna just do that and press enter. And I got an error and I'm not supposed to. All right, moment, please. Okay, so I think I might have an idea what's going on here. So I'm gonna use the sudo apt-get install command instead of what they've suggested here by So this site is suggesting downloading and unzipping something, and I'm going to use the sudo apt-get install command instead of that, which should also go to the repository and just get it and install it, because in their version they unzip it, but I don't see that they actually say anything about installing it. So I tried this with version 3.6 following another website, but it didn't actually do anything because I have a higher version 3.9. So I think it didn't do anything because it doesn't want to digress back to an older version, but I am trying this with apt-get install Python 3.10 right now. And I think this is working and probably doing what you need to do. So the command is right here, sudo apt-get install Python 3.10, which is fine for our class. There actually should be a Python 3.11, which this command, for whatever reason, is not picking up. That's the 3.11 is what I'm using on my Windows machine. but fine. And so then we get some information about that it's reading the package list, building the dependency tree, and it's telling us all of the log of what it's doing here. So it's just going through and showing all these things. It suggests some packages, the following hosts, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it zips through all of this. This is actually pretty quick. It took maybe like a couple of seconds. And it says, after this operation, 285 megabytes of additional disk space will be used. Do you want to continue? So I'm actively installing Python 3.10 right now. So if I type capital Y, and I believe if I just press enter without typing anything, it's going to take the default action. So yes, I want to install it. And so you see it's again scrolling the log in front of me and telling me some information about what it's doing. Told me it's fetched some stuff and unpacking some things and so on. Also, when you use the sudo apt-get install, it shouldn't matter which directory you're in because it should go into a standard directory anyways without you needing to specify it. So the Codecademy way was about downloading and installing it and then unzipping it to a particular directory. But like I said, there's no command there to actually unzip it, which is why I think that you do unzip it, but to actually install it, which is why I think it didn't work. So I guess then you may need to compile that one, which is also another way you can install the code. If you do it this way, you should be able to just copy over a ready to work version that is specific for your computer, and it should just work, which should be a lot easier. And we wait and we wait. Here we go. All right, so I'm back at my prompt. So I am done with this. So now I should be able to type Python 10, which is the version that I just downloaded, space minus V. And let's see, it says command not found. Okay. Oh, sorry, 3.10. Yeah. So Python 3.10 minus V, enter. And it says it's not found. All right, let me try Python 3 minus V. Okay, and it tells me that I have a Python 3.9, which I'm not totally sure why it's still picking 3.9. But apparently it never updated to the newer version, but at least it shows you that's how you should install Python. So it looks like it did install, but not that version. So anyways, we have Python here. So you should see something like that to show that it has worked. And now I should be able to do this. I should be able to just type Python here and press enter. And no, Python. So let me type Python 3, enter, and it does run. Okay, so you see that I got the prompt here with the 3 chevrons, like 3 greater than signs. That's how we know I can do 2 plus 2 and press enter and make sure that it gives me back the answer 4, which it does. So that's terrific, it's working. So now I'm going to type QUIT for quit, and it's a function, so I need my open and close parentheses and enter, and then it exits back out, and I'm back at the Linux prompt. Okay, so part 2 is now done. The next thing we need to do is we need to install the idle on Chromebook. So now I'm back to Codecademy, this time to a new page. So now that we have Python, we need the environment to actually do that. Okay, I already know which editor, so I don't need to debate it. I want to use idle. So here they're using the sudo apt-get install, which is what I resorted to last time. So I'm just going to do sudo apt-get install. And then we do idle 3. Now I already have it installed on this machine, so it's probably not going to do it. So you see that it tried to do it, but it tells us that there's nothing upgraded, nothing newly installed, and nothing removed, and nothing upgraded. And that's because I already have it, but yours would do something like this and then just actually install it. So, okay, looks like that's good. And then once you do this, then we should be able to actually use idle. So now let's see how we can do that. So we should now get out of the terminal. So I'm just going to minimize this and I'm going to go over here. And now I'm going to look for idle in here. So here it is. I can just double click on that and ta-da, here is my Python idle shell. It's Python 2 and I can do 2 plus 2 and press enter. So you might say, why don't you want to do all this? Do that. The other one is I can do 5, new file, and I can make a script. And so I can print parentheses. And then I'm going to close the quote, so my parentheses, and I'm going to press enter, and now I can do run launch just like that. Can we save it? Okay, it's great. And I need to pick up a name, so I'll call it hello. And press enter, save, and now I should be able to go. And here's my other window, the original one that opened, and we see that here. So, ta-da! We have finally successfully installed Python on Chromebook. I hope that was helpful. I know it's a video, but anyways, this was me actually studying through it in real time, and that's probably what you're going to have to do too. So I hope that somehow shed some light for you. Thanks so much for joining.